Okay, so let's get this thing started. I think I'm doing this right. Okay, great. Yep, here is our panel. As we said, we have Stephen, Matthew, David, and Nicolas. And gentlemen, looking back in history, why was affiliate marketing used by online poker sites and networks to drive player traffic?
I think this one should start with you, David, considering your background working at PokerStars and...
Obviously, the most straightforward answer was that a lot of marketing channels, mainstream mass marketing, were not available. And so affiliates were able to drive traffic on a one-to-one basis and really get out there. Of course, back in the day when you had CPA at $75, that was a good deal. Also, the ecology of the poker networks and general environment was quite good. Players simply did not know how to play as well as they did now, and the CPA was a very good $75 to maybe $200. When the CPA obviously got over $300, and there was more mass marketing channels available, then you started to see the affiliate model start to go down. But not to give out any confidential information, but in markets where it's still quite gray and growing, such as China, the majority of traffic still is driven by affiliates.
There's more than one reason, though, for the reason why the industry turned to affiliates. Advertising is expensive. When you're talking about advertising to a worldwide audience, rather than spending millions upon millions in each and every single market, you can, from the point of view of the online poker network, they can save by just paying for the acquisition of individual customers rather than just doing a blanket coverage.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. It was cheap, I think. You're paying for performance, and so your affiliates that were performing for you were getting paid good money, but the ones that weren't, I mean, you're still getting exposure on those sites, but you're paying pennies on the dollar for it.
That's one of the dirty secrets of, from an affiliate marketer's point of view, not the affiliate, but that the majority of your affiliates are providing free traffic, free exposure that you don't have to pay for. So in poker, there's one thing we've all learned over a period of time. Advertising doesn't really work as well as viral marketing. It's the value of a player telling another player, this is where I happen to play. I happen to be playing on PokerStars. I happen to be playing on the Winning Poker Network. I happen to be playing on microgaming at this specific skin. And the players tend to believe there's a pattern of trust that's built because of that viral marketing. So players have typically told other players where to play. Hence, traditional advertising doesn't really work. And also why the affiliate model was so valuable to online poker networks, because you only had to really pay for what you truly acquired. The rest of it was free marketing.
There's another factor that hasn't been discussed. All of this is true, of course. It didn't seem like the market had a cap at the time. It was about going really fast, getting market shares really quickly in a product that was completely novel. So you would take some experts in marketing, some experts in SEO, and say, do it, low risk for me, pay per performance, and gain me the biggest market shares as quick as possible. And it's why it's becoming so irrelevant today, is there's not that much acquisition to be made in 2015 in poker.
But let me just make one distinction, right? So if you were a network poker site and how you used affiliates and how much revenue was derived as a network poker site, and you were a standalone site and quite a big brand, I mean, the difference was very significant. At Stars, obviously the affiliate marketing, when you get to around like 2010, it was quite low overall compared to a network site. And then the question always remained was, with the affiliate marketing, how much of was it basically, getting existing poker players rather than developing new poker players, right? And so if we're talking about what the usage of that was back in the day, and even today, it's not developing really new players, maybe making existing players a little bit better, but basically shifting the players from here to there. Whereas mass marketing, obviously, you have to have that component in there to actually make new players that they even want to search, online poker or whatever, whatnot.
It's not just making new players, it's also, just because you have a new player doesn't mean that they're going to stick around in 2 or 3 weeks. It's also about retaining those players, educating those players, keeping them around. I think this, in the traditional model, it was only about acquisition. Like, how many guys can we acquire now? The model is changing as time goes on. We've all learned that not all players are created equal. There's a difference between someone who's going to be devoting a tremendous amount of time playing and raking. In fact, even amongst active and really active players, the difference between a winning player and a losing player. A winning player doesn't have as much value to the network. So the key, as time goes on, has been to find ways to keep those players sticking around even longer.
Next question. Now that the era of massive rakeback deals is behind us, what are the key attributes that encourage a poker player to choose an affiliate or to play on an online poker room?
Well, in the old days, when I first started playing online poker, one of the great incentives to sign up through an affiliate was a rakeback deal. It's like you immediately, so before you even signed up for a room, well, basically the noobs, the fish, would actually just immediately sign up. You know, like I did that for Full Tilt in the early days. Of course, I did that for Stars because there was no rakeback deals available. But you would immediately start searching around, look for the right partner. And that partner would create an opportunity for you. You'd get 30% back, you get 40% back. Eventually those numbers climbed to astronomical, like unrealistic amounts that they were providing back to you. And the industry's changed.
I think a lot of it today has to do with trust. I think that players are less inclined to believe 30, 40%, this rake back, this bonus. I mean, the players are much more savvy today than they were 10 years ago. And so I think players are looking for affiliates that they can trust, brands that they can trust, brands that they've already associated themselves with. And I think that's a big, big factor moving forward.
I'm not sure what percentage of the players we're talking about right now, because 95% of the poker players don't know that they have an affiliate. So of course the ones that do, the ones that care about rakeback, they represent a high rake, they represent a high volume, but they're also creating an ecology issue, which I'm sure we're going to talk about some more, which is very complex and interesting issue. But really the role of the affiliate in the past was not to be seen. It was just to be somehow taking that player's hand and helping him make a conversion.
Theoretically, that's true. Of course, there were many affiliates who their entire job was to be predatory and steal the customer away before they actually did their sign-up period.
That's right.
But I fully agree with you. And the funny thing is, I think now we're moving to a stage where the consumer is so savvy that they know that if they're clicking on a link, that they're providing you with a revenue stream. So to encourage them to click on that link, you have to provide them some type of added value, whether it be through educational material, news, software like we do with Poker Tracker, Hold'em Manager, and all of our other applications,
I think
or what you're providing with social networking.
That's right. I think the word that you talk about, value, is a good word. Another way I would say is relationship. If you care about a site, you care about a service that you're receiving, you want to make these guys a little bit of money. And we see that, for example, forums do pretty well when they organize something and they say, we have this new promotion, sign up for us, it will help us. It will just help us. Do it to help us.
That's basically building upon the existing community.
That's right. And the conclusion of that, I think, for me, is that affiliates have to do something for the industry. When you engage your customer into a relationship, you're going to help against churn. You're going to help with retention. You're going to help with a lot of things, engagement. If you're just helping with conversion in 2015, you're not doing much for the industry. If you're swapping players around from one side to the next all year around, sure, you've made some profit, you're the middleman, but the industry hasn't grown as a result. If poker is not doing so well, and if affiliation for poker is doing terribly, it's because it's missing the value that it's providing to the industry as a whole. It has to reach either outside of the current reach of the industry, with mass marketing, with anything like that, or it has to extend the lifetime and the value of the current players. These are the only two ways out.
David, as a poker room operator, you're sort of the exception to the panel up here. What are you looking for in a traditional affiliate partner? Or do you take any old affiliate, or are you very, very picky? And if so, why?
This is such a setup question because everyone knows, if you follow what my career is about, is I've been completely anti-affiliate this entire time. I mean, name a Hero Poker affiliate, none. Name like a PokerStars affiliate that I signed that wasn't doing massive amount of money transfers because the money transfer was more important than the signups. Like, none. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but that's the truth. But I think the bigger question is, regardless of how I feel per se, I mean, who here was a rakeback affiliate? I mean, because it's very different. I mean, if you were a rakeback affiliate or you were an affiliate based on content and SEO, if you're a content SEO, you can make the change to something more high value. But if you're purely a rakeback affiliate, you know, you're basically being pushed more and more to the fringes, right? Of where there are still poker sites which may be ring-fenced, say Italy, so some backroom doors there, or Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia, the jungles there. I don't know. I'm Asian. I've never even been to Indonesia and Malaysia, okay? But I know that they still have 90% rakeback deals there, right? But then that entire model itself, was it ever really working, or was it just kind of broken and everyone was being hyper competitive because there was so much growth? I think that's that. But
As a player, it was great.
yeah, I know. As a player, it was great. But in terms of like very being practical, I mean, you guys have paid money to come here, and you're not wasting your time. I would hope you're not wasting your time. Is if you are a rakeback agent affiliate, where do you move from here? And it's almost like, in that respect, I think that model is completely dead unless you can find an operator or a network which is still in that kind of infancy, such as in Southeast Asia or in some ring-fence markets. But you know, we all know the writing's on the wall for them as well. So, you know, in a comment to the rakeback affiliates, you guys FUCK'd me pretty hardcore in the past, and you guys are a lot on the out. But you know, as you guys are trying to make money as well, I think there's a stark reality that it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. And I think a lot of network sites who have invested now in saying, look, we are a poker network, we're going to run things properly, they're just not going to deal with that as much. And the ones that have, you can see they've become almost a Ponzi scheme. I know a couple of network sites in Europe that have given out massive rakeback deals, and they simply couldn't pay out. And they left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. So
That's a really good point. There's a tremendous number of skins that have gone out of business over time, primarily because they were giving away too much back, rather than through the wrong methods. You should be giving back to your customers through incentives, rewards, education, free rolls. But giving pure cash back, I mean, at that point, why not just lower the rake or create some other opportunity? So overall, though, what you're really saying, though, if you are going to work with an affiliate, the key trait that you're looking for is someone that can do something that can actually provide value to the customer and provide value to Hero Poker. Am I correct?
absolutely correct. I mean, at the end of the day, okay, look, there's two realities of every situation we talk about, okay? There's a reality of the context of poker where we don't talk about PokerStars and we don't say it exists. So we talk about poker networks and everything else, minus PokerStars. And there's the context of the reality of PokerStars, which is 70%, you know, market leader. Okay, so I'll put my hand out and say, yes, I am that delusional idiot that still thinks I could set up a site that competes with PokerStars, right? So if you're an affiliate and you think that you can actually give me something that would actually help me compete head-to-head or go towards that second place in stars, even if it's 2 or 3 years later, well, then that's something I really want to talk about. I don't care about like the small cash flow. Okay, I don't care about having my own MGR that's, you know, increasing, because I don't pay a network. I'm a standalone operator on the microgaming platform. I'm the only private operator on the microgaming platform. And the reason for that is just because, look, I just don't want to make a little bit of cash. I'm a greedy corporate MF. Sorry, I don't know.
The acronyms.
Yeah, so the acronyms, okay, motherfucker. I'm a greedy corporate motherfucker, right? And I was...
Like Gordon Gekko.
Yeah, Gordon Gekko. You know, I did my MBA. I married into a rich family. I have a lot of expectations. I like money, a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, I'm not going to spend my time making like $10 million a year. That's a waste of time for me. So if you're an affiliate and you think, look, I can provide David and Hero Poker something that's a solid amount of traffic that can go head-to-head with stars, then I'm interested. But if it's just some guy emailing me and saying, I got 24 players, can you give me 70% rake back? I'm like, kid, like, just, sorry, it's just not worth my time, bro. Like, I have like $100 lunches. You just took up like half my time. Not to be a complete asshole, although I am an asshole.
But no, honesty is very
But
important.
I'm just trying to be honest.
You're less of an asshole than you sound.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
I can vouch for that. I don't want to spend too much time on this one question just because we need to, we have a lot to go through. So let's go forward a little bit. Not all players are created equal. Some players are more valuable than others. What are the player attributes that are most desired to an online poker network? And how can an affiliate strive to deliver more desirable players? So a good follow-up question to what we were just talking about.
I mean, I think that for a player, what we're looking for is to provide, as we said earlier, a lot of value across the board to our operators. So the days of, as David said, the quick CPA and then out the door are really over. We've got to take a player, we've got to nurture their player, we've got to give players multiple opportunities, not even from the point that we get them to convert, then we want to grow that player so that they stay within the network, they stay within the system, and they become a valuable player for the site, and then hopefully site number 2, and site number 3, and site number 4. And if you can create solid lifetime value for your players, I mean, you're on the right track to being a quality affiliate.
Very, very similar. Our model is, it's funny, Poker Tracker, Hold'em Manager, we are the software that players use to beat up everyone else. Well, that's actually not true. We're actually the software used to help retain players as long as possible, keep them in the game, keep them active, keep them engaged. Where our job is to take someone at the very beginning of their playing career, someone who's losing, someone who's recreational or casual player, and get them more involved by learning to beat the game, by learning more about their own experience after the game is done. Sitting down, reading through the software, reading reports, kind of like an encyclopedia. Just because you own an encyclopedia doesn't make you smart. Well, just because you own Poker Tracker doesn't mean you're a good player. Truth is that, you know, it's the majority of our users, as well as the majority of your customers, and your customers are losing players. That's just a fact of life, because most players are losing. But our ultimate goal is to find a way to extend that lifespan of that customer. Well, our work as an affiliate is the exact same way. Our job is to find one partner, one site that they work with. And our ultimate goal is to get them to start playing on that site or network and to stay there as long as possible. And if we extend the lifespan of that customer, then that customer has value to the network. A customer that just signs up and, you know, makes their deposit and disappears in 3 weeks, which was the affiliate model that was so prevalent 10 years ago, there's no more value in that.
And from there, if you can then take that player and then cross them over to casino and sports where you can actually make significant money, then all the power to you.
And interestingly enough, you know, we've now been in business we're entering our 15th year with Poker Tracker, and Hold'em Manager is, I think, 9 years now. We just started our first affiliation ever for sports betting, which is shocking that it took us this long to get there, and the numbers have been very good so far. It just started last month. So we're finding that we're able to cross over, start them in poker and move them to other platforms. And that, you know, half a year ago, that could have been argued that that would have been possible.
What did we say last night at dinner, that poker is the gateway drug?
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. Besides,
Actually, I think you did.
Besides iGaming business and iGaming affiliate, I also started Bluff, and our mandate was to get people excited about poker. But now that, you know, we've seemed to have got enough people excited about poker, and we've done that bit, we do need to look at the crossover like you're talking about. And after having spoken to loads of poker players, and we actually even have a card room here in London, not far from here, and really talk to the players that we're communicating with, we've actually started to promote financial products. So this whole upper floor where we have the Financial Partners Expo, that's a group of products that the players have come to us and said, yeah, I want to be a trader. I think I have the skill set. I think because of my knowledge of poker, I'd be a good trader, and I want to do that. So we're promoting all sorts of financial products to them now. So I think there's definitely room for a crossover. Let's move on to the next slide. What are the most effective methods to encourage players to become more active and engaged? Good question.
I think it's interesting because this links with the last question, because we're talking about how to increase the value for a poker room by making people active and engaged. But we're fundamentally missing the point that the product is broken right now. The churn rate is much, much higher than it should be. And there's something that happens when we make a promise to somebody through a poker ad, through a poker product, whatever, they decide to try it, and they all leave within a year, pretty much, then we have something fundamentally wrong that we need to fix. And the answer to the problem for most people is that the ecosystem is predatory. What does that mean? That means that we have engaged people by telling them that they could win $1 million, and then they arrive and they say, actually, I realize it's not gambling, it's not roulette, it's not going to happen unless you play a spin and go, and you know, there's a lottery aspect now that's being brought into it to continue to seduce gamblers, because that's the model.
Hey,
but
no slugging, spin and goes. Those games are great.
No, these are great, but ultimately they are short-sighted. Poker players are social animals. They need to be talked like either you call it a sport, either you call it a game, either you call it a social activity. Everybody has their thing, but what we want is we want a good mix of regulars that rake really high, that are either slight losers, break even, or slight winners. Some big winners will happen because they will create an aspirational model. This is the backbone of the current industry that still works a little bit, and this is where Poker Tracker is involved. We need a second model that lets social players to say, actually, it's fun. I can play for $20 a year, a month, a day, lose it not half the time and still enjoy myself and have fun. So how do we keep players engaged and active? By telling them, if you want to learn poker and become a great person, here is the aspirational model. It works. Fix the aspirational model, make poker players, professionals be desirable again, which is a long job, and give them a clear path to learn poker.
It's
and
really
on the other
interesting.
hand, give them a social path.
A little interesting side note, got to give praise to PokerStars here because they were the guys that curated the campaign, Bring Out the Inner Poker Star in You. And rather than the full tilt model was, here is our pros. The PokerStars model was anybody can become a pro. Anyone can be aspirational. It was a truly
I'm not too sure.
visionary model.
It wasn't originally. They started with find the poker stars in you, and then they turned it to We Are Poker. So they became a lot more we, whereas before it was look at this Daniel Negrini guy. Wouldn't you like to be like him? But so it was elitism. It was look at him from down there.
I'll just explain, because I am from PokerStars.
From a customer point of view, that's how your marketing message was received.
Yeah, dangerous to speculate.
And I like how you say
that.
that with like the deep voice at the exact same
Just
time.
waiting to say, but look, it was Find the Poker and Star in You. It was, you misquoted a bit, and you know, that changed to We Are Poker, because once you get to a point where you're the market leader, you want to hold that title. Okay, from a marketing textbook standpoint, you have to say that. If you don't say that, then some other idiot who's like third place or some little dog puppy can go, oh, we're actually the number one. Nah. So you got to place that. So there was no choice when you're a market leader. You got to say we're the market leader. But eventually we went back to Find the Poker Star in You. But in terms of Full Tilt had no choice but to take a different tact, or else it would be the same positioning, right? So if you're in the same position, then you're dead in the water and the consumer, exactly. So, you know, I don't mean to say that to school you guys, but I guess that's what I did. So, okay, you can continue now.
And also, it's also a bit environmental and a bit reactionary too, because you sort of fell in to Find the Inner Star in You because you had Moneymaker, and then you had who was after Moneymaker? The next
Raymer.
Who was it?
Greg Raymer.
And then,
It's
but then you
interview
lost
on my
Jamie
site
Gold
today.
to Bodog. So now Find the Inner Star in You didn't seem to work so much anymore, right? All of a sudden, like having the one winner of the World Series every year wasn't necessarily your
I
thing.
will
You went to
counter,
a different
actually, I
thing.
thought the most interesting part of that campaign was when they were working with people like Noah Boken and basically the people that came out of nowhere that did not have the big wins, but were very successful primarily online. I thought that was really when they truly were able to engage that campaign.
Yeah, listen, this panel is certainly better equipped to answer a lot of these questions than me. And the first 2 or 3 slides that we went through so far, I thought that those were the best and most complete answers I've ever heard for any of those questions. On this one, I think we're missing something fundamental. And I would say that why is the poker ecology crumbling? Why are we not having active players, interested players, and new players? It's because PokerStars has won the game. There's no one trying to assail and become as big as PokerStars because they don't think they can. So they're not spending the unlimited amounts of money to acquire players anymore. So we're not producing poker television shows that make it look great. We're not flying people to the World Series. We're not giving them the cool lifestyle that they joined up for in the first place.
it's not
I
just
actually,
because-
I think it's even
that's what's
deeper than
changed.
that, though. I think
Tying into exactly what you're saying is, you know, the model, if you look back at some of the really, really early poker marketing campaigns, I always like look at the party poker where the guy is in his house and the confetti falls out of his ceiling. It's there's like no sophistication to those ads whatsoever. It's about poker is a fun game. Poker is something that you can do on the side. It's a hobby. All of the marketing, a lot of the strategy now with poker has become, as you mentioned, it's this aspirational to become a poker pro or to make a living of playing poker. And I think that we failed in the aspect of a lot of the fun has kind of fizzled right out of the game of poker with the advanced stats and guys that are able to study the hundreds and thousands of hands they play. No offense to the software,
not at
but it certainly has taken a lot out of the the social aspect of the game, which is sitting at a table, whether you're online or whether you're, in your basement, having a few beers with buddies and having a good time playing poker. And that's what I think.
But there's a counterpoint to
when
that.
we go back to the good times of playing poker, you're talking about there's a select group of people that say, "Oh, I can't win this game. I've got Poker Tracker, but I'm still not winning. I've done my best. I've read all the books. I'm disappointed. I'm going to go away." But that's very different than those guys drinking beer in their basement. People watch football on TV, and football players are their heroes. They're never going to make millions of dollars being a professional footballer, but on the weekend they want to go out and play football. And that's what we created with poker. People are calling it, let's make it a sport, let's do that. It's not really that. It's making it aspirational. Just as a football player is a hero, poker players were people as heroes. And when one site dominates the market and others can't assail, you no longer could spend the kind of money that you needed to spend in order to create the television campaigns. Everyone's not spending 100% of their revenue and more to create this marketing, and I think that's where things fall down. And we lost the US market. David.
Okay, actually, I was gonna mention something along the lines of what you were saying, and it goes to this point where the industry itself is very young. Okay, it's a very young industry. I don't know if many people know my background aside from being the regional director was, I'm a professionally trained management consultant, right, with Price Waterhouse. Before then, I worked for the Korean government as a negotiator. So I understand business, right? I didn't come as a poker player, which a lot of the other executives did. And when you look at an industry this young, the first phase of the industry was always about converting the live players to online, right? Yep. And that aspect of the live to online, if you think about it, the WSOP winners are not online winners, they're live winners, right? Very fundamental point. But then you had the advent of players like LAC and so on and so forth, and all these online pros, and then it was a lot easier to market to the younger generation and so on and so forth. But the marketing message fundamentally changed to not just aspirational, you win live to online, or that live is a kind of reward, because if you are on the poker circuit and you visit your friends at the EPT, it's a great thing. I was at one of the first EPTs in Deauville, and all these online poker players were like, "Oh, what's your screen name? What's your screen name? What's your screen name?" Some people were lying what their screen name was just because they didn't want it. But other people were telling them, "Oh man, I was playing with you heads up, 5-10, fuck you. You fucking rivered me yesterday," so on and so forth. But there was this camaraderie, right? So, this is an affiliate conference. So what I want to do is I want to say, if you're going to be an affiliate, if you can tie something to either a community, whether it's online or even live, that's the best. Because I didn't answer the question before, but as a poker operator, what is my favorite player? My favorite player is exactly the player that you said. The one that's playing in the basement, who watches American football, Super Bowl, but will never play, but enjoys the game on the weekends or so on and so forth. When I was working at, when I launched Merge, Hero Poker on Merge, okay, I had a very different player base. But my player base deposited $100 to $200 every payday. I knew when all my players had their payday because they would literally put in $100, $200. And they would donk it off after 3 or 4 days, and they would say, I give them my personal email and they say, "Dave, can you give me credit for $50? I'd be like, "Okay, man, I don't know who you are, but you've deposited 20 times in the last 1 year. Sure, I don't mind it," right? But then that aspect of also the community aspect, if you can tie it in and come back and be an affiliate who does something live, and I know that's crazy. It's an online product. But once you take it too far...
I'm sorry, that's not crazy at all. In fact, that's the biggest mistake we're seeing right now in the Nevada market and the New Jersey market in the US. The businesses are being run like traditional online European businesses where you never ever meet your customer. However, these are markets that are extremely mature. They are players that have been playing live for years. They know their dealers, they know their poker room managers, and they're used to walking in and shaking somebody's hand. And if you're just an online site and you're saying, "Hi, we're Nevada, please deposit at WSOP.com," what's the incentive? There's no incentive at all. And then there's a complaint within the industry that there's no liquidity in Nevada. That is the third largest poker market in the United States. If you cannot succeed in Nevada, then you shouldn't be in this business.
Ooh, different question entirely.
Yeah, but the point is...
I don't want to get too much into regionalization because we have a question on that in a bit, but I think that's going to be very good.
Only to support your statement that you have to think outside of the box. There's more than one way to bring in that customer. There are tons of people who are playing poker on a day in, day out basis who are not playing online.
So I just want to one last point. So when you talk about Stars, right? Yeah, Stars is the market leader, 70%. But what do they do better than anybody else? integration, live and online. EPT, you watch it on TV. There's qualifiers when you watch it. You qualify for the next one. You go. You see the people. You enjoy the poker culture. Now, of course, PokerStars is kind of a like Disneyland type of, rated general G, PG, maybe not even PG. They're like general G. If I did it, I'd make it R, just because it'd be more fun to do stuff like R. Not X-rated like Bodog, but like or Michael. That's
We like to go triple X.
But Stars does it right. I mean, I launched the first PokerStars Macau room, the live one, in Macau. Why did we do that? We couldn't get into China. But all the Chinese people would come and they go, oh, is this game Baccarat? There's 2 cards. I'm like, oh, it's almost like Baccarat. Please sit down, right? And then, we could teach them and then get the Chinese punters who were just walking by the casino saying, oh, this is so cheap. I get to play against the other player, not actually just the banker and the whatever. Like, yeah. So that ability to integrate was awesome. So when I look at the licensing deals that I have made, which are coming up, I've only made licensing deals with partners who have strong land-based operations where we can integrate something. But that's what Stars does. And it's not like anyone else can't do it, but they're simply not doing it.
And for the average affiliate out here in the market, in the audience, I think although we're talking about gigantic companies, there's a tremendous lesson to be learned here. You can still find a way to capture that customer by creating a one-to-one relationship, just as they're doing in the brick and mortar rooms. That is the added value that you're providing in that scenario. And that's precisely what your business is doing with Ranking Hero.
Thanks. I find it very interesting that it's a question about the value of a player, and it ends up talking about the relationship with the players. The affiliates are not here anymore to provide value. They're here to maintain a relationship. They can help with the relationship part of the engagement. And this is a completely new thing. It's not a small idea here that has been agreed by everybody on this panel. It is a completely a revolution of the culture of the affiliate world.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. At Bluff, we're looking at something called Team Bluff, and we're going to develop a team mainly of our online people that I've never seen or met before.
Even
we're going to bring them to real events.
It.
We're going to sit with them. We're going to buy them a beer. We're going to put a patch on them, and we're going to treat them actually kind of nicely. So we're going to provide some real value to them, rather than be like, yeah, good job. Here's $200. Go over there. Go over there. Okay, let's move on. But I love the Baccarat thing. It's like a 6-3 is a really great hand here. Oh yeah. You want to go all in on
Excellent
that.
hand.
It's just like Baccarat.
And then they get
1-8 is awesome.
Get pair of kings. That's the shittiest hand you could ever get.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the lifespan of a new player introduced to poker is typically very short. What should affiliates share in the responsibility to educate referred players that are less experienced? Stephen, I know you've addressed that. Does anyone disagree that affiliates should share in the responsibility? And does everyone have any ideas, I guess, besides revenue share as to how affiliates can be rewarded doing such?
I'd actually say it's not only should we do we share the responsibility, but if you're not doing this, then you're at this stage, you're in the wrong business. It's not 2002 where you can just put up a quick website and say, this is how to play poker. Kings are better than 6-deuce offsuit, contrary to what you might have experienced with Baccarat in the past. Now you have to provide an educational path. You need to hold their hand. You need to provide them with a constant source of information or news. You need to provide them with a group of peers in ranking, or you need to provide them with some type of tool so they can analyze themselves. You need to give them some type of value to make them understand that it's not just a weekend here, weekend there. And your goal is to help grow that path of the customer, because that's the reason why the site wants to work with you in the first place as an affiliate.
That's why I hate affiliates. I hate you guys.
Because they don't often do,
No, I hate you. I hate you, and I hate all these asshole affiliates who are educating the players and making the game harder. I don't need you to rake more. I don't need you to educate the players more. I want them to feel fun and enjoy and redeposit. I don't want you to educate them and give them a hand start chart list after like 5 minutes of them playing, so that all my players are like, oh, then they learn and they realize how difficult it is, and the poker apology is all screwed up.
Although I would actually vehemently disagree with you, and I think your aspirations and my disagreement would align. I'm going to change your mind about that. I think if they don't feel like they're improving while they're playing, they're going to go away right away. Absolutely. If you play the first 5 times and you're like, I suck at this and I'm not getting any better, I'm not going to play with you again.
So here is how it
if goes. I feel like I'm better,
you have to level up in poker, just like you have to do.
You guys screwed up everything already.
Okay, how about this? Winamax is you're talking about nobody's competing with PokerStars. But there is one country where they're not number one, and it's France. It's not the best market in the world. Nonetheless, there is a competitor here that's showing how it's done. And I've worked for them for 7 years, so I know a thing or two about how they did it. And they did many things. They had their big forum there, so they had a social, fun thing for the players that just wanted to enjoy themselves, create a team, have your own badge, gamification, whatever you want. All the social aspect was great. We actually here have one of the people that designed all of this for them in the room. And on the other hand, they created a school that was free, good quality, for the fish. Not a school to become the best player in the world and create a predatory environment. A school so that your average guy, at the time they were on the on-game network, with French, notoriously terrible players, I'm one of them, to play on the on-game platform against the Swedish guys and American people that have been here for 4 years. They said, we need a school, otherwise they're going to get schooled and we're going to lose our liquidity.
Self-empowerment.
This is part of the problem. When everyone was advertising and you had the mainstream coming in, you had enough people that sucked, that there were enough people coming in, so as you get better, more people came in that sucked, and you had a nice little triangle pyramid thing. The problem is, without the mass market, you take out the bottom level of the pyramid, and then you only have decent players where actually winning is of some value to them rather than spending the time.
See, I think as affiliates, it's our job to find the players that suck. You know, is to go back to that. I think that there's, as I said earlier, I fully agree that educating and providing that value of strategy is really important, but we still have to go back and dig into new ways to acquire the new players. It's if we're going to be in the affiliate game, part of that responsibility is to grow the poker ecology. And to do that, you need to find interesting angles that maybe are untried. You know, get creative with things that you're doing. Try new things that other affiliates haven't done.
One way to get new players to the online poker is to deliver. One thing you mentioned, the EPT, and the EPT is part of the aspirational model that works because they deliver. When they were doing really well, they reduced the number of steps from 11 tours to 8 tours. Not because it was costing them too much, but because they wanted to keep the exclusivity of the aspirational model and be the only tour where it was really, the title was worth a lot, whereas the WSOP is doing possible dangers to their brand by expanding the amount of events. So far it's still the WSOP, so it works, but they're taking risks. WPT in Europe has increased the amount of events so much that they're not getting the traction that they get in the US. And I'm sure they won't disagree with me saying that. So if we fix the poker system, we make it fun again. For example, Unibet has removed the rake for the small players, for the very small tables, so that they get less destroyed, enjoy themselves more. If we have happy customers, we can have a market grow. But as long as we're consuming the market with 85-90% churn rate, we can do whatever we want to put more people into the funnel, it's dying. We need to fix it first.
I love when my fellow panelists are completely delusional about the existing reality, because if you talk about Winamax, then what did Winamax create? Espresso, which is lottery sit and goes, which is what a lot of people are really enjoying, and all the reg poker players are all bitching about.
Well,
right?
that's the great part. That's for the mass market. That's for the guy that sucks.
They get
It's
the
still fun.
360
It's a lot of
picture.
action. I might win and I might lose.
But you can't-
and the
you cannot
variance
make a
in my
living playing
win-lose
those games at all.
is enough to keep me
but see,
interested.
that's the thing. You're still in the mentality, making a living, educate, whatever like that. Guys, don't educate the players. Get them excited about the lottery sit and goes. Bring all these players.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's one of the brilliant components of what they've introduced. Is they've created a game now. Well, actually, let's take a step back. When Zoom and Rush first launched, it was basically pitched as really, really fast games, and it's perfect for the casual player. It's perfect for the part-time player. Actually, it's not. It's the exact opposite. It's actually the perfect component of a network to take your active, engaged, better players, get them off the regular tables, and get them to play with each other. Let them to battle it out, because your weaker players are going to get destroyed in those faster games. The exact same reason why I live in Las Vegas. I run into countless players who tell me I don't play online because I can't beat online. I feel it's rigged. I feel it's this thing, it's that thing. But if you spend enough time with these people, 5 years, 10 years, you realize, these guys that used to play 40-80 limit hold'em, or used to play 5-10 or 10-20 no limit 6 years ago, they're now playing 2-5, or they're playing 1-2. They're not playing as big anymore. Why? Because they were losing players all along. It's just that in an online environment, they figured out that they're losing faster. So the faster the game is played, like a Rush or a Zoom game, they're going to they'll get eaten alive. Whereas these new lottery games are phenomenal, because now they add an element of a greater element of luck and less element of skill. So it's a phenomenal game to bring in your casual player, your more recreational player, and once again, keep out You're pros. Keep out your more.
It doesn't matter if
better
your pros are
players.
there because whatever, they have the same shot as anyone else. It's a crapshoot.
Well,
at the end.
there's still skill involved, but
Yeah,
it's
but
a
you know what I
lesser
mean,
reduced level of skill.
Like a very specific example, you and I would never play poker with you again. I played once at the Aria. We sat at the Aria at 2 different tables for about an hour. I was holding my own. He sat down with me in 5 minutes, had all of my money. Less than 5 minutes, 5 hands. And I suck, granted, and he's a professional player, rated as one of the best in the world. So, okay, fine. I mean, I get that. But I would coin flip you for money all day.
It had nothing to do with me. Every other player at the table was better than you, too. That was besides the point.
Yeah, but they didn't,
Michael
they didn't
Caselli,
hurt me as hard.
publisher of Bluff Magazine,
Yeah.
by the way.
One of the worst players on the planet. But at the same time, the point is, I would coin flip you all day for money, no problem.
There's no skill whatsoever in that.
There's no skill, and the variance is such that sometimes I'm gonna be a winner, sometimes I'm gonna be a loser. And that was what was neat in poker in the beginning, why people got in there. They might suck, but there was enough variance when you have a whole bunch of fish that some weeks you might win and think, oh, I'm the smartest guy on the planet. I'm gonna keep doing this forever, and I get better and better in this. And then I'm educating myself, and I'm getting better, and that's why I won. No, you just happen to catch a wave of variance. But if you could introduce more variance, I think we could introduce those shitty players back into the system.
But you
Yeah.
know, what does this lottery sit and go represent? I think it's a reactionary product to the fact that the current poker outlook in terms of how we've marketed for aspirational players, pro players, is all broken. Whether you can blame that on Full Tilt, who were the most moronic managers in the history of network internet things where they're making $1 million a day and they fucked it up.
Why are you being so kind?
Oh, I don't know, was I? Sorry, English is my second language. You know, and I think it means that, you know, the entire model, the aspirational, it's all broken. So that's why this game is there. And so, but then what are we really saying about this? Are we still talking about education now? Because lottery sit and goes, what kind of education are you saying? Are we talking now that there's going to be much more convergence between casino marketing, sports bet marketing, and lottery sit and goes, where that becomes the primary game? I don't have that answer per se. Again, it's a very young industry, but I want to say that I think that it's more reactionary. I think in poker in general, just because Stars has that position and they're taking it as a cash cow, where they're not really reinvesting to develop a new understanding of what poker could be or the aspirational aspect, you know, we're just kind of in this flux right now.
I think you've touched a couple of interesting things. The first one is innovation. I mean, if you guys do slot machines online, you'll remember what they looked like in 2002. How much have they evolved until now? And look at a poker client. From now in 2002, the differences are much slighter. So there is innovation in structures. We're trying to do a little bit of gambling. Some people try to do a little bit of gamification. And, you know, there's small steps, but the core product has stayed the same. And there's definitely a lack of innovation right now. The second thing is definitely ecology, ecosystem, skill gap, whatever you call it, is the big thing that everybody's looking at right now. And really, you have 3 different profiles of player that come to your room depending on your marketing message. And we need to deliver for all 3. The person that thinks it's gambling, the WSOP message, anyone can win, moneymaker effect, then it's quickly going to realize that he's doing far worse at poker than at roulette, and that he has to think far more. And therefore, he's either going to drop, and we've noticed it many, many times, or he's going to cross-sell, if you're lucky, or he's going to go onto that path where he's either trying to be good or trying to just have fun and not care. And we need to provide for this person. Then you have the person that wants to be social, you have the person who wants to be a pro. We need to think about that and fix it for everybody.
But there's a couple kind of players. There's the kind that plays blackjack that thinks I'm smart and I could beat the house, and you can't. And there's the type that play roulette that say I'm lucky and I could beat the house.
Yeah, I made a lot of money at these guys,
but the idea is actually the games are exactly the same. In neither game is there any choice to be made at any point by any decent player. You will literally play to a template for blackjack. You might as well not even sit there. You could just look at your chart and play to optimum strategy every time and never make a decision. There's nothing smart about it. But in poker, you've got that blackjack player that feels that he's smarter than the next. So when I talk about education, I think that there needs to be a perception that I'm getting better, but I think we need to introduce more variance so even though the reality is you're never getting better. You're getting slightly better, but never enough to beat, you know, Gus Hansen. But there's enough variance reintroduced into the market, so there's more variance, so that I'm winning enough so that I kind of am rewarded for the study that I'm doing. And that's the education aspect that we see at Bluff.
There's an important component we need to think about when we're comparing poker to casino. You have a casino player, they play blackjack, they play roulette, whatever it is, they're going to lose, period. Everyone that plays casino is a long-term loser eventually. I mean, you might get lucky, you might ride the wave of variance, but you are a losing player. In poker, almost everyone is losing as well. The big difference, though, is that in poker, if you don't feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, unless you're purely doing casual, and true casual players, I hate to say it, there's not a great value in them because they're not spending a lot of money. They're churning through their deposit. They disappear. They come back 6 months later. The poker players need to win.
Yes,
they don't have to win long term.
Well, that's my point.
There has
But
to
you
be
can
a
do
light
it through
at the end of
variance.
the
They
tunnel.
could
Exactly.
lose slow enough because there's enough variance that you don't notice that you're losing.
So-
you're having enough fun to justify spending the time on the site.
Hence,
Because I'm only losing a little bit because there's so much variance. Sometimes
No,
I
but
win
you
and
need
lose.
Hence, I'm
see
gonna
these
say something
guys-
really
you need to see these
controversial now.
guys. You need to see these guys that actually bought the Ferrari and are really making money from $20 to feel like you might be about even and you think you're gonna win soon. You need to have an example that's working.
Yeah, but that's my entire point. That entire model possibly is completely broken, and
It
that's
is.
why
It is.
lottery sit and goes are really the product that is really hot right now. So affiliates, I just want to
is it broken or is it evolution, though? I actually think part of this is evolution. I truly,
if Full Tilt hadn't gone down, if the DOJ wasn't as powerful as it is, because I love the United States, I love you guys, wherever you are, I will never do anything bad against you, because I love you, CIA agents, Interpol agents who are here, all right? If that didn't happen, the growth would have continued. In 2010, don't tell me that poker was dying before the DOJ came in 2011 and beat the shit out of everybody.
But this is this is our reality now.
Yeah,
We
this
have
is
to
our
live with it.
reality. But what I want to say very practically, okay, we can talk on and all and debate all the crap we want to say, but affiliates, if you really want to hit it, I say the message should be, look towards the lottery sit and goes. What kind of message, what kind of players can you acquire for those types of games? And I think that's going to be better for your bottom line, and then that's going to be better for everyone else's. And then you can talk with me and say, yeah, let's work together on that.
I just want to add a little thing. I don't know if we have any regulators in the room or people lobbying with regulators. I was going to say against. And, it's interesting because I'm going to go back with France, that's where I'm from, even though I live here since 2000. The model here is even more broken, and the market's going down faster than anywhere else because they decided to break this aspiring model so much. They tax the winners. They tax the site so much that now everybody knows that no one can make a good living out of it. And we have proof, we have market data, it is discouraging the average Joe, even though the one that Michael was describing that has no shot of ever winning, but thinks he does, well, he's quitting too. So, we need these guys to show that poker is not blackjack and is not roulette. That's why they came in the first place.
To wrap this topic up, because we have so many other ones
please.
to go along, there's something I'd like to share that is really controversial, especially coming from me, of all people on this dais right now, is that I think ultimately our job is to make poker tougher. Now, when I say tougher, I don't really mean tougher. What I really mean is our true job is to empower the lowest common denominator. Help them stay in the game longer, make them tougher players, which makes the games tougher. However, ultimately, we as players, we just want action, right? We want games that are guaranteed to exist. We don't want the games to dry up. Well, how do you stop the games from drying up? By taking the lowest common denominator and educating them, and helping them from losing as quickly.
The other way around doesn't work. Removing the
It's very
top
true.
guys does not work.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I think the players need to get better, and you want to educate them, but you need them to keep from churning long enough. And I think the way to do that when they suck is to actually introduce more variance to the game,
Which is
the lottery sit and goes.
games, yes.
Because then they'll sit there not knowing that they suck.
It's
They won't
called
realize they
Omaha.
suck as quickly.
And
So
it's,
more
it's
variance.
important to know too. There
Hey,
is-
we're gonna have to move on to the next
You guys
question.
are so heartless. You treat my players like they're just retards.
You want to make 100 million out of them. You're killing me,
No,
Gordon
I
Gecko
give it
over
back.
here.
Not like stars. I wouldn't put it all in my pocket.
Okay.
by the way, speaking of lottery sit goes, as an affiliate, that is a great untapped market for you. There is skill involved in them. The skill is diminished compared to a traditional poker game, but there is really basic strategy that can be applied, just like basic strategy for blackjack. And if you're providing that added value to the player, you might be able to capture that player's new customer acquisition.
I actually always thought if I ran a poker site and I wanted to acquire new players, I'd build a HUD into the site so that anyone could turn on my HUD at all times.
That's a
and use it.
totally separate panel.
I understand. We've answered this next
We
question.
actually take the question from the only affiliate who's kept.
Oh yeah, cool. I didn't even notice there was such a bun fight up here. Go ahead. We'll get you a microphone.
Sorry for interrupting, but when you talk about poker, you're only talking about, feels like you're only talking about Texas Hold'em. You're talking a lot about adding variance and stuff, which you already have. You have Omaha, for example, or other poker games, then no limit Texas Hold'em.
I think, yeah.
more getting solved. When you're looking into more variants, it's a long lifespans for players. It's easier for a fish to have a long uprun in PLO because of the added variants.
It can also cost you a lot more, though. See, I'm actually a mixed games player. And in fact, the odd thing is I only started playing No Limit maybe about 5 years ago. That's it. I came up as a limit mixed games player. That's my entire background. Truth is, the average player, we can't dictate to the player what games they should be playing. We can give them guidance, we can advise them. Truth is, the average person who's going to be showing up to your site as an affiliate is looking to play No Limit Texas Hold'em just like they play on TV.
Yeah.
And there's not much we can do to change that except for over time guide them into
They'll
new
move
directions.
Have you ever tried to explain playing Omaha, pot limit Omaha, to a group of your friends that have never played poker before?
It's like Baccarat.
It's like it's not a very easy task, and if you've done it well, then I would say create a site that just does that, and you'll do fine.
Once you go in with the selling of the Omaha manager, for example, you see an upside in that?
We actually sell Poker Tracker for both Hold'em and Omaha. We have Hold'em Manager and Omaha Manager. Without a doubt, Omaha is a much smaller component. We also used to have Stud, and we don't even provide Stud anymore. The market was too small. It cost us too much money to develop.
Most of the stud players are not on computers.
I think,
Or most of them are dead.
Except for in China.
I mean, what you're saying, I think what we all agree what you're saying is technically correct. They talk about it, like Doug Bronson talks about it in the Bobby's room. They moved to mixed games to change it because the Hold'em was too clear for the people that were getting killed. So and open-faced Chinese is definitely in that category as well. But the problem is the beginners, the first time they come to poker, they want to play Hold'em. So you have to fix Hold'em first.
Yeah. We've covered this next question, so let's move on. The next, online poker operators have traditionally invested in acquisition via affiliate marketing. As former gray markets open up, such as select U.S. states, we're seeing less reliance on affiliates. Has the traditional affiliate model become outdated? And this is a question of, I think, being a geographically segmented affiliate, and it goes into a lot of what you talked about earlier.
I think that the traditional sense of affiliate is either dying or is already dead. I mean, at Poker News, for a long time, we've really considered ourselves a media partner with our operators instead of an affiliate. And it takes a little bit of time to adjust that relationship and to kind of rid yourself of that word, because a lot of operators, as David said, I mean, they don't like affiliates. They don't look at affiliates as being a valuable partner to them. But if you can provide true value outside of the affiliate spectrum, if you can become a digital media company, if you can provide a tool that is something outside of that traditional affiliate sense, that's really the next step. And I mean, it's the only way that an affiliate's going to be able to survive, is to be able to look at the next steps, look at traditional revenue models, look at, don't pigeonhole yourself into CPAs and rev share, or you're going to go out of business.
I think, just so as we get through some more questions, I'll just kind of throw up an overview on this, and then you could, if you disagree, we'll continue. If not, we'll move to the next question just so we get through a bit more. But I think affiliates are very good at taking the legal risks of putting brands into gray markets, dealing with gray markets where you don't have country managers because they're either too small or you're just not into that geography. Those are mainly traditionally the two things that they're great at, really getting into markets that you couldn't get into on your own.
Michael,
Addressing what Matt said.
Michael, I think the real issue in these newer markets, and there's actually a few people here from New Jersey, for example, that can actually attest to this in the audience, is that they don't want to work with affiliates.
Well, no,
and
I'm going to get to this point. I'm going to get to this point.
The reason why is the critical issue. The reason why is because in these smaller markets, they can control their own communications. They can control their own market.
That was exactly my point.
But there's still tons of opportunity available. It's just that you have to rethink the model.
Well, that's the point. So essentially, affiliates are good at getting into gray markets, getting in markets where you can get in, taking a legal risk in markets where you couldn't go, maybe SEOing in markets where you couldn't SEO and getting traffic that way. But what Matt said and what Steven's saying, the affiliate needs to either lower the cost per acquisition for the operator, or increase the lifetime expected value of that player for the operator, or it's less expensive to do it yourself, like in New Jersey. If I were going to operate an online poker room in Nevada, with what, a 1-2 million person population, would I use affiliates? No, I'd buy a whole bunch of people in India, give them new phone books for Nevada, and call every single person because it would be way cheaper.
I would counter completely differently, and I'd say rather than calling them affiliates, I would hire a bunch of hosts, and their job would be to create games at a specific time at a very of the day, and the games will automatically build upon there. But they're basically the exact same thing as an affiliate, which is the exact same thing that Full Tilt used to do with their Red Pros. Their Red Pros were not really pros; they were props.
So, but I mean,
Oh my God, really?
But essentially, at the end of the day,
every Red Pro in existence.
essentially at the end of the day, there's not a race anymore to become the biggest site. That race is over and done. So they're not going to pay over the odds to get these players in. So an affiliate, I think, to be successful in poker now, needs to be able to provide those players at a less expensive rate than either getting a television advertisement, calling them directly, or doing whatever the casino can do. So it's a quite simple matter of economics. If the affiliate's cheaper to bring players in and makes them more valuable, then you use the affiliate. If you don't, then you don't.
Or you're still an affiliate just by creating putting yourself into a new model. Like each of our companies up here.
Sure, but the model still has to either lower CPO or raise LEV.
Yeah, we're all affiliates, but none of us really consider ourselves affiliates at the exact same time. We just thought outside of the box. We found new revenue streams.
Okay, moving on to the next, because we only have a few more minutes. Where does new player growth come from in a ring-fenced market? How should the affiliate of the future embrace businesses in these newly capped markets?
I think we just covered that in the last one, right?
Is it more profitable to invest in acquiring players new to poker or existing poker players? Is there room in the affiliate model to be compensated on retention and reactivation of players?
In Europe, there's no choice. There's no more new player. We've consumed the entire market. And TV doesn't want it anymore because nobody wants to watch it anymore. So we need to fix the product.
I would counter that that's exactly what I thought 6 months ago. I would have agreed with you. I completely disagree now.
Enlighten me.
And that is because of new media opportunities, things like Twitch. Jason Somerville's he's basically the Jesus of online poker at this point. He's shown us the light, he's shown us the new way. The new way is to be a host. That's a new affiliation model. You get online, you play poker, and you create a show. You host, you teach people, and you make poker fun again. And you teach them and you educate them in the process while it's still fun. And I believe that is the future of new customer acquisition.
But how many people that are watching Jason Somerville on Twitch are brand new to the game, and how many of them are just the poker fanboy that's reading every single comment that the guy writes on 2+2?
According to my current research, roughly 40% are not exposed to poker, which is phenomenal because the Twitch is, in case you're not familiar with it, it's owned by Amazon. It's got 45 million plus unique visitors to their homepage per month. And it is basically television for e-games. So if you want to watch someone playing StarCraft or World of Warcraft or Hearthstone and learn from these world-class players, you go to Twitch. Well, the poker now has its own subdivision within there, and Jason Somerville's channel is now featured on the homepage of Twitch once per week, and we're seeing a huge rise in this direction. Yeah. And I really truly believe that they've just broken the model for us and created a new opportunity that hasn't been taken advantage of yet.
We're very philosophical on this panel, and we're talking about concepts. There's a takeaway right here. 2 years ago, we would have came up here on this panel if we were trying to give you something to take away and said, go and market on YouTube, advertise the hell out of YouTube, you're going to do really well, and you did. And now that's kind of drying up, and it's a little bit more competitive. Still works though, still do it. But yeah, Twitch is the new takeaway for 2015. Go on Twitch and start to.
Here is the fundamental key. It means it begins by retention. It begins by a happy customer sharing a good experience on online poker and showing it to everybody else. This is a net promoter. This is a social result of having fixed the product for somebody. And so if we start by retention, we're not saying there's no more activity, there's no more market to begin. We're saying there's a bunch of people that were hit by the mass marketing that are on the fence. They're like, I like poker, I like it. Adidas tell me it's all in or nothing. I see it on TV all the time, but I don't really have time to watch it. They're on the fence. What's missing is social proof. It's someone saying, no, it's not rigged. No, it's not destroyed by the people that have stats. And just saying, I play and I enjoy it. You should too. And then they'll make that jump. Every statistic show that social proof is the next thing. That's what Facebook
And that's
is now
precisely,
monetizing.
that's precisely why what Jason Somerville's done on Twitch has blown me away.
Precisely.
Because he's taking every little bit of advice we've brought up here, and even the parts we all disagree on, and he's been able to encapsulate it all at once. He created a social show where he is a host. He's integrating non-active poker players as well as active poker players. He's teaching people strategy. He's teaching people how to succeed while at the exact time making it fundamentally fun. You don't have to be a poker fan to watch his show and actually enjoy it. It's brilliant.
No, this is the point we were talking about earlier. Good television show brings new people into poker, and a good show about poker and learning strategy while in a fun way will bring more people in poker. Totally agreed. And you happen to have a big pool from Twitch because they happen to be there already watching other kids play Minecraft.
A little
which blows my mind. My
self-promotional
8-year-old nephews do that.
side topic for me. I've now played numerous times on Poker Night in America, which is a brand new TV show. It's a 25, 50, 100 no limit game. And what makes it so cash game, what makes that show so unique is that unlike Poker After Dark and all these other things where it was really, really quiet and it was mostly the announcer talking on top of the players, there's no time for the announcer to speak at all because we're talking on top of each other. We're yelling on top of each other. It's a home game. The whole concept of Poker Night in America was designed to make poker fun again. And I think this little component that you're talking about within media, within television, or Twitch, as we move more towards this interactive experience, I think we might see another resurgence. Will it be a huge boom again? No.
I think that might be the next
resurgence is
question,
possible.
actually. We have time for that last question, and, well, somewhere on here. Will there be another poker boom, and what's the biggest untapped potential for future player acquisition? I think that's a good question to end on.
I think the U.S. market opening up was probably the biggest untapped potential right now. I mean, we talk about, you mentioned Twitch, you mentioned all of these new media. Speaking from experience at Poker News, one of our biggest problems is we can tout X amount of traffic, this, that. The key factor for us is what percentage of that traffic is coming from the U.S.? We still are growing year on year with US traffic, but we have nothing to do. Like we have nowhere to send these players. Do you send them to Daily Fantasy? Do you send them to your traditional advertisers, which are really difficult to come by if you're a poker brand? So in my opinion, the biggest factor for this market to become what it once was or to see a second poker boom would be federal regulation in the US.
Which is like 10 years. So everyone just take a break for 10 years. We'll come back to the conference and we'll talk again.
Maybe 25.
Okay, but we're missing something. I was looking for someone who I thought was in the room who's not, who would say, actually, if you go to Asia, and David's not going to want to tell anyone this, I'm sure. So we'll just keep this in this room. But you go to Asia right now, and apparently the poker market is going absolutely insane. Now, granted, you're raking Thai baht. Like, who gives a shit about Thai baht? Well, it's not so bad if you live in Thailand and you live in Asia. So, I mean, although your player values are much lower, your cost per acquisitions are lower enough, and your margin as a percentage is still quite good, and you're building very, very big networks.
It depends. But yeah, Asia is booming. So if it can boom enough, then it would be like the States in 2 more years, right? And I'm specifically talking about the big C. China. China is very big. Mm-hmm. And these crazy Chinese people are playing crazy games of like 5,000, 10,000 euros every single night, multiple home games. No shit. Everyone's heard about the big games in Macau, right? The pots are like 150,000.
And those
US
games aren't
per.
as soft as they used to be.
They're not as soft.
That is a very
Actually,
good example of.
If you go to Shanghai right now, you're going to get owned. These guys are like serious. They fly in poker players to train because these games are like huge. But it's booming in every single city right now in coastal China right now. So it's quite big. But in terms of if you go to Southeast Asia, it's a little bit different. Sure, like their currency is lower, but the amount that they play and the fact that most Asians enjoy gaming addiction, we don't think it's gaming addiction. We think it's normal life, you know.
It's a experiential resolution of the concept of luck.
Yes, exactly that. But I think if Asia can really boom, because the thing is, like, of course Stars is active in Asia, I set that up, but they're not really tapping a kind of deeper side of the market. They're still tapping a very superficial level of the market, but the underlying market is growing there, where they rake 3% no cap, where they rake 8%, like capped very highly, you know, so on and so forth. So that market does exist, and once that starts to get integrated into the international market, it could have a massive effect. But in terms of another poker boom, you know, unless there's a viable competitor to PokerStars, it ain't gonna happen. So if any of you are religious, you can pray that I become the next messiah of poker, and then you know, all the ships will rise and everyone will make money again, and this will be inconsequential, this entire discussion about educating the players, because we do want them educated if we want them to rake. But fundamentally, another competitor would make PokerStars have to reinvest, and that poker site that would be the number 2 would have to say, hey, we need another message that would entice the players to, you know, really be engaging it, whether it's live integration or something like that.
That's why I light a candle for you every day before bed. David, you had a question.
Thank you, brother.
Is the real competitor not PokerStars, but rather the other opportunities available to potential poker players to get their online gaming fix by running other games?
No, because PokerStars will just integrate the other games into the platform. You know, I think.
You think that it's going to be PokerStars League of Legends, you know, being played, or?
Well,
Exposure. You talk about market where, you know, like talk about YouTube. The leading YouTube figure is a player of League of Legends who gets 1.4 billion, you know, views in the course of 2014. Is that really where your untapped potential is? You have to find those players and then introduce them to poker. And poker is, you know, the millstone you want to carry around your neck.
Yeah, but still the message is different. I mean, a League of Legends player and a poker player, the way that they play. I don't know if you know what League of Legends is, but it's one of the fastest growing action RTS games, which is like, it's a computer game, which is like 5 versus 5. It's a team
RTS
game.
meaning real-time strategy.
Yeah. So, okay, look, I'm not a noob at this, okay? I'm the fucking godfather of like PC gaming, okay? And I'll tell you, look, it's 2 different people. It's 2 different messages. You know, the type of message, even if you look at a social poker player and a real money poker player, I don't care. Give me the best play money social poker player. Michael will wipe the floor with this guy.
and I suck.
You know, and he sucks, because real money, it's totally different than social, right? But in terms of, you know, the game itself, I mean, yes, there are other alternatives for poker players, or yes, there are these potential other games that, you know, it looks like we can touch it. But the poker itself is an extremely complex product. And the reason why I'll say this flat out is because you have massive casino sports bet companies that are huge. They're massive. Betfair, Bwin, and look at their poker revenues. It sucks. Now, are these guys all morons? Nah.
Yeah, but you know, on the opposite side.
No. But because it's just so tough.
No, I'd say on the opposite side, though, I think that PokerStars sportsbook revenues will be massive. Whereas I
they
don't
will
think Betfair's poker revenues will be massive.
It's because
Conversion's one
PokerStars
direction.
knows poker. I'm just saying it's because there's no easy solution to poker. It's a complex game.
Yeah.
It's a gambling game. It's a competitive game. It's a team game. It's a social game. It's a network game. I mean, these are really, really massively strong concepts. When you put it together, I mean, you make the money through this commission, right? And the rake and so on and so forth. It's not an easy business model. Easy business model is, I sell you this water, I get my margin, you know? But for poker, it's not. Retention, acquisition, you know, reactivation, so on and so forth, branding, where you're holding it mentally. So, you know, again, I mean, like, you know, I will always get advice from a lot of people. They'll come up to me and they'll go, you know, Dave, you know what you should do? I'm like, oh yes, please tell me. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck, okay, 5 minutes, I'll just endure this person.
Just sell water.
trying to tell
It's
me.
easy.
Yeah.
Just to answer a little bit differently to this question, I think the poker is very unique because it's the only game where you try to beat luck, and it appeals to a massive amount of people. It has all the social elements that a video game has. Therefore, there is a crossover between video games, and we know that because we have a lot of Magic the Gathering players in poker.
Which are all super competitive players in that field.
And I'm going to go your way in a minute, so you see that we'll agree. The thing is, in 2004, 2005, 2006, when Magic the Gathering had really tough professionals, same thing for StarCraft and LAC, poker was a better opportunity. Quite simply, the aspirational model was better. There was more money to be made, more TV presence, more everything, more recognition as a smart person for being a top poker player. Today, if you're playing League of Legends or Dota or even StarCraft #2, you're playing in front of a crowd of tens of thousands of people, and millions of people are watching the streaming. So I don't think poker right now can compete and pick people from these markets. On the other hand, there is a crossover. So if you pick it right at the beginning and you tell to these people, do you want to play a game that's pure skill? Do you want to try and enjoy it with a little bit of luck? Do you want to see what it's like to play with money? You can definitely market to these people, but don't think that you're going to take engaged and active players of an esport and just transfer them.
Yeah, just because you play one, you don't necessarily play the other. But then again, just because you play one doesn't mean you don't play the other either. It's about getting the person at the right time in their daily cycle.
I would actually counter that if you do play an esport, that you have a greater possibility or probability of being interested in poker.
If you transact online, you have a better possibility to play poker.
Absolutely.
But it's the online transaction that might work.
Very well said.
Dan, you had a question in the back?
Can't hear.
Poker News bringing the U.S. people somewhere, yes.
And what you can say, where actually getting higher aspiration than Magic the Gathering. So now players are seeing that there's an edge in things like DFS. Should we, as affiliates, be looking to send them to places where, as we know their type, where they're going to have a significant connection and become valuable players, even though it's not poker?
I would agree with your assessment, and we've actually launched a content strategy that's very similar to what you just mentioned. We are taking the element of DFS, and we're not just saying pick X, Y, and Z. We're saying, okay, you're a poker player, you know how to find an edge. You're skilled at this, you're skilled at that, but right now you don't have an opportunity to take advantage of those skills. Well, here's daily fantasy sports. And here's how you can transfer your edge from poker to daily fantasy sports. So not only are you creating an opportunity for that player, but you're also creating a competitive advantage against a traditional daily fantasy sports affiliate who's just looking at, okay, here's a lineup of 10 guys and here's why. So you're taking your audience, because quite frankly, it's not as easy as it sounds to take your poker audience and cross them over to DFS. They're two different games, and there's an onboarding process that needs to happen.
When you do, don't you feel like you're sowing the branch you're sitting on? Because your future is dependent on the poker industry doing well. If everybody's starting to say, actually, we can make a bit more money if we sell them to binary options, where are we going to be in 2 years?
Well, I mean, Poker News is one brand out of 5 verticals that we run. But
this would be a question you're asking yourself now.
Sure.
As a new player in the market, it's a bit different for us. So we don't care about this yet, but I'm truly interested.
I mean, for us right now, with the U.S., we've been going through it long enough where we have New Jersey, we have Nevada, they are opportunities, but outside of that, we've got millions of people that are coming and funneling through to read live reporting about the EPT Grand Final or the Aussie Millions. We need to find ways to monetize those users, and I think that crossover and finding additional opportunities and finding that crossover demographic is really, really important for any poker affiliate that has a significant amount of US traffic.
And we're not sawing the branch by selling them into financials. They're sawing the branch, and they're saying, okay, we're done with this poker thing. What are we going to do next? Well, your skills could be used over here. Okay, we want that. It's really down to player choice. Now, I'm not necessarily I don't look at it just from a poker perspective. I'm an iGaming guy more even than a poker guy. So when I see what is the biggest untapped potential for future player acquisition, and you look at a wider iGaming market, you're looking at very specific, regionalized, often mostly national, heavy regulation of iGaming, including poker in those different jurisdictions. And when you want to compete, you want to look at where stars can't. And I think for an affiliate, which has always been good at doing those gray market things and going into markets more advanced than the legislation in those markets, I guess the only answer that I could come up with that's credible would be, I think the markets that are yet to be regulated or are in the regulation process that stars cannot participate in or the larger sites cannot participate in is probably where an affiliate will find the biggest untapped potential for player
I don't
acquisition.
disagree, but I think for each affiliate, it also depends on what your overall content is. For example, in our case, where we just started focusing a tremendous amount of resources on the video gamer. Again, we talked about Twitch. We're launching a new product in a matter of months that is cloud-based. And it's aimed at the lowest common denominator. It's aimed at more the beginning player, help educate them, help bring them up through their entire playing, again, help them level up. And provide incentive rewards to the player as throughout their experience. So the players that we think that will best convert over to that will be video game players. Now, mind you, it doesn't mean every single video game player. If we're reaching out to a pool of, again, 100 million potential players, we're only actually looking at a fraction of those players. But I believe that for us, that's the path of least resistance. We're a software company. We're dealing with people who are used to dealing with more technologically advanced topics and because they need really advanced computers in order to play some of these killer online games like Dota or StarCraft 2. But we do believe that there's a translation component that goes there. Is it, again, as I mentioned before, it's not a one-to-one ratio at all. It's just a fraction. But that's a very, very powerful, strong fraction of a group of people that really haven't been tapped before. And the important thing here is that that's the way we're doing it. It doesn't mean that's the way that anyone else needs to do it. Just understand your product, understand your market, understand who you're communicating to, and do your very best to capture that market. In the case of Poker News, they've found their market. Their market is live tournament reporting and education. In the case of Nicolas, he's found his market with Ranking Hero. Just think outside of the box. Don't just be linear and say, as I mentioned before, you just put up a page and just slap up a bunch of affiliate logos on there. That doesn't work anymore.
Or you could just spam links and get to the front of Google. It's the other way. Maybe just do that. It'd be easier. David.
I just want to make a point is that I think Michael's advice on a practical level is very sound. Okay, Stars has pulled out of certain markets. Why they pulled out of those markets, we're not exactly sure. Maybe he had some ISIS affiliation. I have no idea. All right, but I'm cool with those markets. No worries. But I think for myself as well, for me, I've kind of turned a new leaf on the affiliate thing. I think if affiliates are willing to tone down their expectations and also invest themselves, right? Then I'm willing to build out a full affiliate. I don't even have an affiliate manager, but I'm going to hire one. So if you know a good affiliate manager who's can work with a kind of psychotic Korean guy, then
I think there's a few of them sitting in this.
I just like the way you say affiliate. Yeah. The affiliate. It's like you're touchy with them.
Yeah, the affiliate.
Like I need an affiliate manager. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, but
I'm going to Gecko. I want to get affiliate.
The point
in my country. That's how
I think that should be the takeaway for this entire seminar.
Visual takeaway.
I think the lottery sit and go, drawing them from to poker, and if that poker platform has other types of games, right? Also, if there's any convergence between live and online as an affiliate, if those are kind of objectives, right? Then I think you can still have a real chance to work in the affiliate space for poker. But it's kind of a sad state for everyone. I mean, if we're saying that affiliates are not making much money, or it's very difficult for affiliates, obviously it's very difficult for the operators as well, right? I mean, that's a stark reality, right? It's easier for me to say, okay, I'm gonna spend this media spend rather than work with affiliates, because the CPA, I'm not sure about how this is really gonna calculate. Whereas if I do an advertising spend, well, then I can do a return on investment. I can look to shooting out some more bullets, right? But in any case, I would say, I'm still bullish on the affiliates. I think that one-to-one relationship matters so much. And I hope to find a brilliant affiliate manager who will change my mind on a lot of things and open my eyes on a lot of things as well. But I don't think it's as hopeless. But, some of these guys are in such great positions. I mean, for fuck's sakes, Poker News, Poker Tracker, and this motherfucker has his own platform for social stuff. I mean, what general affiliate is going to have these resources, and do you need to invest in these resources? But if you do, if that's the reality, you need to invest in these resources, like partner with a local poker room in your region and then talk to me. Well, maybe that is the kind of evolution that we all have to go through, because we're living in this post-apocalyptic PokerStars world, where hopefully the rebel forces will kill the Terminator of PokerStars eventually. We'll have our victory day.
Well, in any case, this is the best poker panel that I've ever had the privilege of being part of or seeing. So a big round of applause to them.